Chapter 50 Ancestor Tang Clan. Due to the advancement test being cancelled, Class 1 and Class 2 students had to return to their respective classrooms to take lessons. After a short discussion, Wen Yan and Zhou Yi called Huo Yuao over to ask him a few questions. Afterwards, they finally began their afternoon class. However, Huo Yuao didn't return to his seat. Instead, he was told go to and stand on a nearby platform. Then, Zhou Yi was called over by the teachers of the teaching department, as Director Du Weilun was holding a meeting. Due to special circumstances, the advancement test will be delayed for 2 to 3 days. Wen Yan told the students of Class 1, this will give you a bit more time to train. Today, you all saw the battle between Yuao and the Winged Spirit Wolf. Soul beasts are not affected by emotions, and the first thing you need to do to fight them is maintain your composure. You must display everything you've learned. Soul beasts aren't scary. Most of the time, they only fight by relying on their natural instincts. Firstly, you'll have to overcome that psychological block in your mind, as fear will weaken your combat strength by a large amount. Let go of your hesitation. Only then will you be able to give it your all. He glanced at the students. Ask yourselves, were you scared when that Winged Spirit Wolf appeared? A large number of students immediately lowered their heads in shame. Wang Yan continued, it didn't happen because you were weak. It happened because you don't have any experience fighting soul beasts. If you were to fight against a fellow classmate with the same strength, would you still be afraid? Of course you wouldn't. That's because you believe that your fellow classmates won't actually hurt you. Then, do you think soul beasts or we soul masters are stronger? I can give you a definite answer to this. Under a situation in which both parties have identical cultivations, we soul masters will definitely come out on top. He raised his hand and pointed toward his head. That's because we human beings possess wisdom. You fear soul beasts because they have low intelligence. Furthermore, they won't think twice before killing. However, just wait till you get used to the fighting style of those soul beasts. At that point, you'll discover that the ones that are truly formidable are soul masters. We can use our martial souls and soul skills to come up with many different kinds of tactics. But you have to remember this, no matter how outstanding the tactic, or how powerful the soul skill, only those who have courage will be able to show their true power. This advancement test will decide if you'll be able to keep studying at the academy. In a certain way, you can say that it will also decide your future. Today, we'll have a last-minute lesson to improve your courage. Yuao has the ability to change the color and aura of his soul rings. I ask everyone to not unconsciously release your martial souls. No matter how strong the pressure you're feeling is, try to keep your calm. Yuao, you can start. Huo Yuao nodded, and a golden light flickered in his eyes. At the same time, 2 white soul rings slowly emerged from under his feet. They seemed to be 10-year soul rings. Just now, when Wang Yan had pulled him aside to ask him a few questions, it was about this, whether he was willing to use this method to help the other students. Huo Yuao had already briefly explained how his soul skill worked. Otherwise, Wang Yan wouldn't have asked him something like this. Huo Yuao didn't hesitate, and immediately complied. He was the class leader, after all. Thus, he was willing to help his fellow classmates. Moreover, at this point, he was unable to conceal his imitation skill. Thus, there was no need to hold back. He had managed to scare many soul beasts to death by relying on the Skydream Iceworm's instructions. In addition, this had allowed Huo Yuao to experience some of the myriad possible variations of this skill. These white 10-year soul rings weren't going to have a great effect on the nearby students. Their color quickly changed from white to yellow. Looking at the soul rings that had suddenly changed color, the students of Class 1 were astonished. This skill was really mysterious. It really could change the color of Huo Yuao's soul rings at will. Wang Yan said in grave tone, the white color represents a 10-year soul ring. It's the lowest ranked soul ring that we soul masters confuse with. The yellow color represents a 100-year soul ring. The color of a soul ring will change according to its age. Do you know why that is? Because there is a great amount of energy compressed inside it, and every soul skill will use this energy in a different way. Therefore, it's not a given that a lower ranked soul ring will definitely have a bad effect. The yellow soul rings then changed into purple ones. As these purple 1000-year soul rings each made their appearance, Huo Yuao's body started to emit an invisible pressure, making the Class 1 students somewhat nervous. After all, the only one that was known to possess a 1000-year soul ring in the class was Wang Dong. Everyone, be careful, Huo Yuao said loudly. The 2000-year soul rings on his body transformed once again, the purple color suddenly becoming darker, until it slowly changed to black. This classroom wasn't as big as the Great Beast Dueling Arena. The appearance of 2 10,000-year soul rings immediately created a heavy oppressive feeling that spread everywhere from Huo Yuao's body. At this time, Huo Yuao was drawing support from the Ice Jade Emperor Scorpion's aura. It was a very ferocious soul beast, and when Huo Yuao suddenly channeled its aura through those 2 10,000-year soul rings in such tight quarters, its tyrannical aura gave the students the feeling of being crushed into smithereens. Immediately, the students with a weak cultivation base felt their soul rings come out of their bodies. Even their appearances became pale. Wang Yan furrowed his brows as he told Huo Yuao, no need to increase the output further. Just keep this level of intensity. He had the feeling that all these students would wet themselves if Huo Yuao were to release the power of a 100,000-year soul ring in this small and narrow place. And he absolutely didn't want that. Keeping the level of intensity at 10,000 years was the best thing for the students. After cultivating for 10,000 years, soul beasts will experience a qualitative leap. Generally speaking, if a human being wants to deal with a 10,000-year soul beast alone, he will need the strength of at least 6 rings. If he wants to deal with a 30,000-year soul beast, he will need the strength of 7 or more rings. And even then it would only be something he could try after obtaining a martial soul true body. Earlier, I said that soul masters would generally be stronger than soul beasts of the same rank. However, in the history of our Douluo continent, there is only one instance of the strongest soul master surpassing the strongest soul beast. That happened when the first generation of Shrek's 7 monsters was still around. The best example among them is exactly the founder of the Tang sect, the Ancestor Tang Clan. Except for that period of time where our human race was stronger than the soul beasts, we have always been unable to contend with the strongest soul beasts. As for soul beasts that have cultivated for 100,000 years, even a titled Douluo would find it hard to fight against them alone. That's because soul beasts who are able to cultivate for 100,000 years will definitely have a powerful inherited bloodline. And to suppress a 100,000-year soul beast, one will need to be at least a titled Douluo of the 95th rank or possess a sufficient number of soul bones. A tide of soul beasts once emerged from the Great Douluo forest, attacking our Shrek Academy. That time, the academy suffered severe losses. Inside the Great Douluo forest were some soul beasts who had even exceeded the 100,000-year rank. The 100,000-year rank isn't actually the limit for soul beasts. There are some soul beasts that are particularly gifted by the heavens, and by relying on their cultivation, they can break through the limit of the 100,000-year rank, reaching a completely new realm. These soul beasts that can surpass the 100,000-year rank are called transcendent soul beasts. I can guarantee you that the Great Douluo forest still hides some transcendent soul beasts. For us soul masters, a 100,000-year soul beast is a first-class treasure. It will give us a 100,000-year soul ring and a soul bone, totaling 4 soul skills. However, transcendent soul beasts are akin to a calamity. Even if we pay a huge price to kill them, it will be very difficult to obtain something valuable from their bodies. This is because the soul ring produced by a transcendent soul beast is not something we can absorb so easily. The body of the soul master that tries might be unable to withstand its power. Joseph couldn't help but ask, Teacher Wang, even titled Douluo can't absorb it. Didn't you say that after surpassing the 90th rank and becoming a titled Douluo, one's body will undergo a qualitative leap? After he finished his sentence, his expression changed, and he paled slightly. Huo Yuao was continuously releasing the oppressive aura of the 10,000-year soul beast, and this aura was incessantly attacking the minds of the students. They needed to keep their concentration up. Only then they would be able to suppress the fear in their hearts. Wang Yan replied ill-humouredly, you are going against common sense with these questions. Had this been the advancement test, they would have sent you home already. Tell me, how many rings does a titled Douluo have? Joseph promptly replied, 9 rings. After speaking, he finally understood. Exactly, a titled Douluo already had 9 rings. They were existences of the highest level. How could they have another soul ring? Wang Yan said with faint smile, you finally understand your mistake. If you do your best and manage to resist this fear inside your hearts, teacher will tell you a secret. This secret is about the top-ranked soul ring. The students were attracted by Wang Yan's words, and the fear inside their hearts diminished a bit. The students that had already released their martial souls also made an effort to withdraw them. Wang Yan said in a grave tone, what Joseph said just now was against common sense. However, I'll tell you this. In the history of our Douluo continent, it's not like there haven't been soul masters with 10 rings. This secret piece of information was recorded in our Shrek Academy. 10 ring. After hearing those words, all the students were shocked. The fear in their hearts was also reduced a little more. Wang Yan said, the main subjects of my research are martial souls and soul rings. After doing a lot of research, I can guarantee you that it is possible to have 10 rings, and having 10 soul rings almost equates to becoming a god. In the records of our academy, there was some information about a person possessing 10 soul rings, a god-ranked powerhouse, and this person is exactly the one I mentioned a while ago, the founder of the Tang sect, Ancestor Tang Clan. Among his twin martial souls, his main martial soul, the Blue Silver Emperor, possessed 10 soul rings. Researchers from later generations decided to call it a god-ranked soul ring. Of all the students in the class, Wang Dong was the person who had to face the least amount of pressure. He was extremely familiar with Hua Yuao, and the two of them were able to fuse their martial souls. It didn't matter what ability Hua Yuao used, he wouldn't feel too great of a threat from any of them. When he heard Wang Yan's words, he couldn't help but ask, Teacher Wang, then what color a god-ranked soul ring? Wang Yan replied, even I don't truly know. Based on historical documents, the ninth soul ring of Ancestor Tang Clan's Blue Silver Emperor was bluish gold. His second martial soul, the Clear Sky Hammer, also had a different colored ninth soul ring. It was dark gold. It's very possible that it was also a god-ranked soul ring. Based on this, we can deduce that god-ranked soul rings will all have different, unique appearances. Wang Dong asked, didn't you just say that one's 10th soul ring would be a god-ranked one? How was Ancestor Tang Clan's ninth soul ring able to become a god-ranked one? Wang Yan smiled slightly. We'll first have to talk about a legendary soul beast that once existed on our Douluo continent. Even among the teachers within the academy, only a few of them know about this secret. This legendary soul beast was known as the Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor, and its cultivation had supposedly near the million-year rank. However, nobody is clear as to whether or not it actually surpassed a million years of cultivation. According to our historical documents, however, once Ancestor Tang Clan absorbed its soul ring, it fused with some sort of energy in his body, which caused it to become a dark gold god-ranked soul ring. Ancestor Tang Clan had already broken through the pinnacle of cultivation at this point, meaning that his soul power had reached rank 100 and that he'd become a god. Only with the help of his main martial soul's 10th soul ring, the Blue Silver Emperor, was he able to kill the Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor. Whale Emperor. When Wang Yan finished speaking about Ancestor Tang Clan's god-ranked soul ring, Hua Yuao was left in a daze. After hearing about the possibility of a million-year soul beast who might have appeared in the past, he was stunned speechless. At that moment, he couldn't help but ask, Teacher Wang, did the Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor really reach a million years of cultivation? Wang Yan shook his head. What really happened is more complicated. According to the large amount of research conducted over tens of thousands of years by powerful soul masters, a soul beast is normally limited to 100,000 years of life. When they hit this limit, they'll encounter a calamity of sorts, at which point they'll have to choose between attempting to break through this limit or transforming into a human. Earlier, I said that soul beasts able to break through this limit are known as transcendent soul beasts. However, all of them will still have to face a calamity like this every 100,000 years. Once they break through 10 calamities, they'll become existences close to that of a god. If they can leap through the Golden Gate and transform from a cup to a dragon, they'll be able to become true gods. As far as I know, however, a soul beast has never been able to complete this step. Even the Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor wasn't an exception. As such, regardless of whether or not it was able to reach a million years of cultivation, it would still only remain a transcendent soul beast so long as it wasn't able to become a god. Of course, only a god can force these terrifying transcendent soul beasts to surrender. If one doesn't have as much as power as someone like Ancestor Tang Clan, even someone with the ability to kill a transcendent soul beast like the Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor wouldn't be able to completely absorb its soul ring and soul bone. Hua Yuao asked, Teacher Wang, before Ancestor Tang Clan became a god and left our world, did he have any other martial souls than his Blue Silver Emperor and his Clear Sky Hammer? Hua Yuao shook his head. There shouldn't have been any more. When Ancestor Tang Clan had his last battle with the martial soul hole, the two opponents he faced were both god-ranked experts. According to the historical documents at least, a situation in which Ancestor Tang Clan possessed 3 martial souls didn't appear. Yuao, why would you ask something like this? Hua Yuao scratched his head. I was just casually asking something random. The god rank is simply too far away from us. Thus I was just wondering whether or not we'd obtain a third martial soul if we reached the god rank. Wang Yan smiled slightly. Your train of thought is very good. Our research into the field of martial souls is precisely because we want to explore more of their secrets. One should definitely make bold hypotheses and verify them carefully. All right, let's stop for now. His last sentence was directed towards Hua Yuao. The other students instantly felt their bodies loosen up, which immediately causing the soul power in their bodies to undulate intensely, and in turn caused them to feel an incredible sense of relaxation. Only then did they recall the pressure that Hua Yuao had been releasing since he imitated the aura of a 10,000-year soul ring. When Wang Yan saw the students act as if they'd been relieved of a large burden, he smiled slightly. The menacing aura that a soul beast emits and the pressure that a soul master emits are actually just two different types of intimidation of your spirit. As long as your spiritual power is stable enough, you'll be able to stand unmoving like a reef near the seaside no matter how intense the pressure is. Earlier, your minds were captivated by my story, thus you completely forgot about the pressure Yuao was emitting. Head back and have a good rest. Afterwards, prepare yourselves as best as you can for the advancement test. We'll end class here. Tomorrow, we'll continue to train in the same way. Every single student within the classroom, including Hua Yuao, had resolute looks in their eyes as they looked towards Wang Yan. Indeed, Zhou Yu couldn't compare to a scholarly teacher such as Wang Yan when it came to theoretical knowledge. However, Zhou Yu was much better than him at controlling her students. Since they were both simultaneously in charge of the class, they even complemented each other. At the very least, Class 1 no longer had a single student under the 2-ringed rank after the past year's worth of study. At this moment, there was still a period of time before dinner time. As such, Hua Yuao and Wang Dong decided to head directly towards their dorm. At Hua Yuao's strong behest, they began to cultivating as soon as they arrived. Hua Yuao wasn't truly trying to be hardworking today. However, he had a few questions for the Sky Dream Iceworm. The only way he could have a conversation with the Sky Dream Iceworm currently was by entering a state of cultivation with Wang Dong and calming down. As the Hadong power circulated through their bodies, the dense undulations of soul power they emitted strengthened at a rapid rate. Both of them had experienced a qualitative leap in their cultivations during their vacation, thus the advantage they had in terms of cultivation speed since they fused their soul power was becoming more and more distinct. Brother Sky Dream, once he entered a meditative state, Hua Yuao immediately began to circulate his soul power in a controlled manner while calling out to the Sky Dream Iceworm. The Sky Dream Iceworm responded to him quite quickly. Its lazy voice rang out, "What are you doing? Is this about that Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor?" Hua Yuao said, "Yeah, Brother Sky Dream, was that Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor really a million-year soul beast?" The Sky Dream Iceworm smiled mischievously. "Don't you already have an answer to this?" Yes, the reason that Hua Yuao had asked Wang Yan if Ancestor Tang Clan had had a third martial soul was precisely to verify whether or not the Deep-Sea Devil Whale Emperor was a million-year soul ring. Hua Yuao said, "Since you've answered me like this, it truly wasn't one." The Sky Dream Iceworm replied, "I've already told you, I'm the only soul beast on the continent who's been able to break through to the million-year rank. The moment I broke through the boundary of the million-year rank, I felt something deep in my heart. It's impossible to describe what that feeling was, but I instinctively knew that I was the first soul beast to reach this level. There hasn't been anyone else able to. The number of soul beasts that reside in the ocean outnumber the soul beasts on the continent, thus it isn't surprising for powerful soul beasts to appear there. However, I can guarantee that there are no million-year soul beasts among their ranks." Hua Yuao said, "Brother Sky Dream then, shouldn't you be a god?" He still had an enormous amount of doubt within his heart. Once he'd obtained his second soul ring for his spirit eyes, he immediately discovered a secret. The Sky Dream Iceworm had always disguised the true color of his spirit eyes' first soul ring. Lazy as he was, however, the Sky Dream Iceworm had immediately delegated this task to Hua Yuao once he'd obtained the ability to conceal his abilities. In truth, the first soul ring that the Sky Dream Iceworm had given him, his intelligent soul ring, was an impressive gold color. It was completely different from the regular white, yellow, purple, black, and red colored soul rings. When teacher Wang Yan had talked about Ancestor Tang Clan's god-ranked soul ring, a thought had immediately popped into Hua Yuao's mind. Wasn't the first soul ring of his spirit eyes a god-ranked soul ring as well? The Sky Dream Iceworm unhappily replied, "Stop dreaming. If I truly become a god, would I really have been bullied by those fellas in the Great Stardow Forest?" True, the soul ring that I gave you has the foundations of a god-ranked soul ring, but it absolutely absolutely isn't one. It's currently lacking two things. One, it needs a godly imprint that belongs to you. Only when you've obtained the cultivation of a god and have branded it with your imprint will it truly become a god-ranked soul ring. The other thing you require is a godly seat. Do you really think that it's so easy to become a god? It's definitely impossible to succeed without experiencing innumerable trials. However, it's still too early for you to be thinking about these things. All you need to know is that this brother is a unique and genuine million-year soul ring in the truest sense of the word. Understood? Oh, who are you? I replied. Brother Skydream. Don't go back to sleep yet. I still have another question to ask you. Earlier today, I used one of the soul skills that the Ice Empress gave me. Why was I suddenly so enormously powerful? The Skydream Iceworm immediately flew into a rage. Aren't you just full of crap now? Who do you think the Ice Empress is? She's one of the most powerful soul beasts who currently exists. You've received her soul ring and soul bone, and even though you only absorbed a very small amount of her power, your physique was strengthened by an enormous amount. Furthermore, the two soul skills that she gave you are both power type skills. These two things, her terrifying amount of power and her ultimate ice attribute, culminated into the soul skill you released earlier, the Ice Empress Pincer. However, you have to remember that the Ice Empress Pincer can only be utilized at its maximum in a close combat situation. On the other hand, you have to try your best not use the two skills her torso bone gave you. They simply require too much soul power. You wouldn't be able to endure it. Oh, right. When you've fused your soul power with this little fella in front of you, you should be able to barely release a trace of the power those two skills possess. In reality, you should feel proud of yourself. The person who tested you just now is one of those people you humans call a title Douluo. Who are you? Al was astonished. Brother Skydream, you're saying that teacher Dong is A. My intuition is never wrong. The Skydream Iceworm said, whatever, if you have nothing else to say, brother is going to sleep. Continue cultivating diligently. After having a conversation with the Skydream Iceworm, the doubts in Who Are You Al's mind had cleared up. Having gone through today's affairs, his self-confidence had increased even more. News of Who Are You Al's stunning performance in the great beast dueling arena quickly spread throughout the entirety of the outer courtyard. However, under the conjectures of a few brainy people, the other students were able to surmise that he had used an aura imitation skill. Because of that, he didn't cause too large a ruckus. The advancement test for the Year 2 students was postponed for 2 days. Furthermore, Joe brought another piece of news to Who Are You after the meeting the teachers had. The Academy's teaching department had requested that he retake the advancement test without using his imitation this time around. They guaranteed that he would obtain the minimum marks required to pass, but they still hoped that he would do all he could to display his own strength in order to obtain even higher marks. Douluo wasn't willing to resign himself to the truth. After the advancement test had ended, he had organized a meeting with the other teachers before going over to see Dean Yan Shaosh. Yan Shaosh then gave him a single order that was, for him to clarify what Who Are You Al's second martial soul was, in addition to his soul skill. Second young master, this is too risky. Shrek Academy is the continent's #1 academy, and experts are extremely common there. The number of title Douluo they have exceed that of our empire. Rashly killing someone within Shrek Academy will be extremely inconvenient for the Duke. Then what if it's outside Shrek Academy? If it's sufficiently far away from Shrek Academy, we can try. Second young master, you have to calm down. If you really can't take it anymore, you can ask the eldest young master for guidance. No need, I've already thought it through. I was clouded by my anger. I'll think of a way by myself first. If I really can't do anything about it, I'll draw them out for the sake of the White Tiger Duke's honor. At that time, you are not allowed to dissuade me anymore. Yes, haha, that old fella Yan Shaosh must be foaming with anger in his office. How delightful, it's really so satisfying. Chen Duo was lying on his wide sofa, his mighty body taking up almost half the space of the sofa, which would normally fit 3 people. He had a pleased look on his face. Fan Wu, who was sitting opposite him, said sincerely, Dean Chen, thank you. He was truly grateful to Chen Duo. He had made a timely move, allowing them to thoroughly bring Who Are You over to the Soul Tool department at the most crucial moment. Moreover, Yan Shaosh couldn't do anything at all now. Chen Duo waved his hand. What are you thanking me for? This is all for our Soul Tool department. However, that old fella Yan Shaosh is very crafty. We still have to be alert. Fan Wu was stunned. Be alert for what? You Al's already a core disciple of our Soul Tool department. Chen Duo said, you can't think this way. I understand that old fella Yan too well. He's not a person who gives up easily. He won't do something like threaten us, but he's extremely good at tempting someone. You still need to have a good conversation with that little fella Yuao so he won't be fooled by any means. Tell Yuao that our Soul Tool department can give him anything that Yan Shaosh offers. I simply don't believe that old Yan will just let me snatch away the meat I've obtained. Humphrey 2 martial souls. Ha ha. I just need to imagine old Yan's current expression to feel extremely happy. Fan Wu smiled slightly. I don't think that you need to worry. After interacting with this child Yuao for so long, I have confidence in him. I can guarantee you one thing: as long as he gets his rank as a soul master up to the required rank, he'll definitely become a soul engineer of the same class. Within 5 years, before he graduates from the outer courtyard, I'll work hard to make him a class 5 soul engineer. When he then enters the inner courtyard, we'll be able to have him and K2 implement the ultimate soldier plan. The imitation skill that Yuao's just obtained has eliminated a large obstacle to our ultimate soldier plan. This skill has no offensive uses, but it's absolutely the strongest ability that a person can use to conceal themselves. The heavens above are truly thinking about our soul tool department. Yuao's practically made for our ultimate soldier plan. Chen Duo nodded. Fan Wu, I have a proposal. This kid Yuao has an extraordinary amount of talent as a soul engineer, and we can't restrict him too much using conventional ways. I feel that K2 shouldn't continue being cultivated for the ultimate soldier plan. If Who Are You can become the ultimate soldier we nurture, then K2 can be the armory of the ultimate soldier. Somewhat concerned, Fan Wu said, but Dean, isn't this too risky? In the event we fail, the smile on Chen Duo's face vanished, and he spoke in a grave voice. There isn't an in the event. If a person with twin martial souls can't make our plan succeed, then that only proves that our plan doesn't hold any water. If we go with the mentality of staking it all on one person, our chances of success are much greater. Fan Wu furrowed his brows. Then I'll have to think about it for a while. I need to ask K2 for his opinion on this as well. Chen Duo smiled. Yup. This issue isn't urgent. They're still young, so we have to establish their foundations well. Right, when is Who Are You coming over? Fan Wu said, the Martial Soul Department's having their advancement test. I'll get him to come over after his test. Chen Duo said, he's already a core disciple of our Soul Tool Department now. After the Martial Soul Department's advancement test ends, bring him over and let him participate in our advancement test as well. I want to see his capabilities in live combat. Okay, Fan Wu replied, filled with confidence. He had absolute confidence in the disciple he was pleased with. 2 days later, the great beast dueling arena, outside the arena. Who Are You? Do you dare to make another bet? Dai Huobin blocked Who Are You and Wang Dong's paths. Without even waiting for Who Are You to open his mouth, Wang Dong interjected. What? You can't accept it. The only reason why you dared to come again is because you're fully aware that Who Are You has been restricted from using his soul skill. Losing is losing, and you've already forgotten the pain that came from that scar of yours. Eh? You've already kowtowed and admitted that you were wrong. A cold light flickered through Dai Huobin's eyes. What's wrong with seizing an opportunity? I lost, and I admitted it. I'm only asking as to whether you dare to make another bet with me. This time, I'll bet against you too by myself. I'm betting that I'll be able to exceed the total of your scores by myself. The moment he spoke, Wang Dong immediately raised his brow. Dai Huobin, you're being too arrogant. Dai Huobin said icily, do you dare, or do you not? Wang Dong said angrily, since you want to bet, we'll bet. We'll use the same stakes as before. The losing party will kowtow and admit that they were wrong, but 3 times this time. Dai Huobin turned towards the silent Who Are You? What do you say? Who Are You? Said indifferently, seeing that you were willing to accept your loss last time. Fine, we'll take your bet. Dai Huobin squinted his eyes. After coldly sweeping his gaze over the two, he turned away and left. As Wang Dong looked on at Dai Huobin's leaving figure, he suddenly let out a laugh. Keeping his voice low, he turned towards Who Are You? Sure enough, it's exactly as you predicted. That fella has well-developed limbs, but the brain of a moron. He actually dared to make a bet like this for the sake of revenge. He's really thinking too highly of himself, and he's looking down on us too much. Who Are You? Smiled slightly. Actually, he's not looking down on us. It's just that we have too many secrets that the others don't know about. If he makes a decision based on common sense, it's natural for him to to be fooled by us. The Haodong power was their greatest secret. Without the Haodong power, it would have been impossible for their cultivation to increase so quickly. Huo Yuao even had 2 martial souls in addition to the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion's torso bone and soul ring. These weren't things that others would know about. Other than that, he still had an even greater secret, a secret that even the teachers didn't know about. Earlier this morning, Wang Dong had finally tested Huo Yuao's soul power after they had cultivated at an astonishing pace for 2 consecutive days. In the end, he was stunned all the way from breakfast till they reached the Great Beast dueling. It was because Huo Yuao's soul power had already reached rank 26. When Huo Yuao had entered Shrek Academy at the very beginning, he had only been at rank 13. 1 year later, he was now ranked 26. It could be said that within the entire academy, Huo Yuao's leap in power was something that the other students were completely unable to compare with. Soul power couldn't be measured using simple numbers. If the soul power needed to bring someone up from rank 0 to rank 13 was considered 1 unit, then the soul power needed to bring someone from rank 13 to rank 26 was at least 5 units. In other words, Huo Yuao's soul power had quintupled within a year. This was completely inconceivable, even among the students of class 1. His current soul power placed him in the top 10 of the class. However, only Wang Dong knew about this secret. Moreover, Wang Dong himself had secrets. Furthermore, it wasn't just limited to a single secret. The process of the advancement test was identical to that of 2 days ago. Douluo personally came over to oversee the test again. Furthermore, it wasn't just Douluo who'd come over this time. The proctor and the refereeing teacher were both stunned by the fact that the martial soul department's Dean Yenshiosh had actually come in person. Furthermore, he had replaced Douluo as the main judge. Just when was an advancement test of a lower year group belonging to the outer courtyard able to move an important person like the dean? And yet, nobody would have guessed that Yenshiosh had actually come for a single student. As the dean of Shrek Academy's martial soul department, Yenshiosh had an esteemed status. If he was willing to hold a post in any country, he would definitely receive the treatment of a state advisor. However, Yenshiosh had always remained within Shrek Academy. The thing he enjoyed most was seeing many outstanding geniuses being nurtured by himself, making Shrek Academy even more powerful. From the other's point of view, a single student wasn't worth him appearing in person. From Yenshiosh's point of view, however, this was extremely worth it. This was an extremely rarely seen twin-souled soul master. Not only had he come, he had arrived extremely early. Before the advancement test had begun, he had found the beast King Gong Chenglong and had a simple conversation with him for a period of time. Though Gong Chenglong hadn't revealed what Huo Yuao's martial soul was, he said the word ultimate to Yenshiosh. This word solidified Yenshiosh's confidence even more. A series of plans had already formed in his heart. Seeing the students who had already entered the arena, a faint smile appeared on the corner of Dean Yenshiosh's mouth. Chen Duo, I want to see which of the two of us will have the last laugh. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.